The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 229. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on. She is the owner of the Hangar Studios and also the owner of United Tribe Inc., and she also has a podcast called Girl Panties. So I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Jenniger Ho-Dougatz. Jennifer, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Sheena, for having me on. So I was a struggling single mom years and years ago before I got to doing what I'm doing now. And I couldn't make ends meet. I mean, I live in New York. I was living off of $100 a week. And, it was tough. And I just had to do whatever I had to do to take care of me and my son. So I put an ad out on Craigslist saying that I was a professional organizer. Now I had one day of training at that point. And I had 3 or 4 calls, and they all owned small businesses. And so I got started in that space. I started learning about their business, and they would say, hey, can you edit this or can you do that? And I would say, absolutely. And then I would stay up all night, every night for the next few days to learn whatever program I needed to learn. And slowly but surely, I got to running their businesses. I became their COO. And I said, wow, I love what I'm doing. Like, I fell into it. Now what I do is I train and teach entrepreneurs about, their life and how to step outside of the box, and not only their life, but their business and also their community. So, they're happy clients. They've gone from startup, just a thought, to making 6 figures. And then on top of that, I married a man, which is why my last name is hyphenated, who did producing here in New York for terrestrial radio for years and years. And I said, hey, podcasting is becoming really big, so let's open up a company that does the production. So he's like, that sounds like a great idea. And 5 years later, we have a company in the heart of Times Square. And then also we're going to be opening up a new studio on 26th and 11th. So, that's going really well. And then I said, let me find out what it looks like from a client perspective. And I decided to jump behind the mic, and I started my podcast, Girl Panties. And that's a lot of fun for me because I would have clients ask me, how did you get the drive and how did you get the confidence that you have now? And I said, it's my experiences. I really took from my experiences all the lessons that I learned and apply them. I really, really apply them. So I talk about that in my podcast, where I talk about, the difficult times in my life, or even the fun ones, where I learned a really tasty nugget that I can apply to the rest of my life. And I share that with my listeners. So I have my hands in a lot of pots, you could say.
Awesome. And great story that you shared. And, I love podcasting. It's such a great way to, just be yourself and just share your experiences out there to the world. And, especially people think they don't listen, but, people are listening to your story. They want to know what you did and how you were able to come out of, something as, like you said, you're only making $100 a week, and now you have a 6-figure company or companies, which is amazing. And I'm glad you have your own podcast where you can share your experiences, your stories, your challenges, your ups and downs, because that's what life is about, right? The ups and downs, ins and outs, and life experience. So great stuff. And Jennifer, what's your cultural background?
So my father is Chinese. He was born and spent the first 26 years of his life in Hong Kong. And my mother is a New Yorker, but her parents were Norwegian. So I've got, half Viking and half Chinese in me. But to top it off, I was born and raised in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So it really adds to such a juxtaposition, if you want to say it that way, to life and the way I was raised.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I love how you said half Chinese and half Viking. It's pretty funny. So, Jennifer, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
I love the one from Glinda the Good Witch. And she said, "You had the power all along, my dear." It resonates with me. I hold that so tight to my chest because it's so true. There's so many people walking around and, they think that their power comes from outside of who they are, or, people pleasing or trying to show up a certain way, the masks that we wear. And it's really not about that. Everything that you need and ever will need comes from within, and you are walking around with it right now. You're just not seeing it. So I really just love that quote. You had the power all along, my dear.
That's a great quote, and I love that play. Well, I haven't seen it, I've read the book. It's a great play, and it's true, right? The power's inside of us. Sometimes we feel like we have to seek permission from outsiders, or we're asking the wrong questions, because everything that we have is within us, right? Maybe we have to ask the right questions. We have to let go of people who are toxic, but something that short yet impactful is just realizing that we have the power within us. So great quote. I love that. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
So for me, I spent years trying to fit in. Now I'm mixed race. So I never really fully fit in with Chinese, and I never fully fit in with white people either. So I was kind of always outside of the box. And for me, I learned really quick. Like I said, I tried for years to fit in and I just couldn't anywhere. But I learned that I get to really love myself, and that means warts and all. That means, the mistakes that I've made and the things that I don't like about my body, and, sometimes even the way that I show up in life. But I really get to love it all. And really, ultimately, confidence is not about being perfect. And it's not about being better than the next or outdoing everybody around you. It's really just owning who you are. Just owning who you are. And understanding that you matter because you say you do. So that's, to me, self-confidence, when you can walk around and say, you know what, I may not like the pounds that I've gained in the last month, but I'm good with me. I'm really good with me. Because in the end, I think you'll be glad and grateful that you had the experience that you got to have in this world.
Thanks for sharing that definition. And, I think it's for women, we feel like we always have to be perfect. We got to put on the perfect, face out into the world, not realizing that our flaws actually, is our greatest strength, right? We can just let it go and be who we truly are and express ourselves in the way that it doesn't hurt people. It can, actually inspire others. So, I'm glad that you mentioned that, warts and all, because, we all have flaws, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It could be a great thing. Thanks for sharing that. And what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I was very much a people pleaser because I was so busy trying to fit in. And, I have my father's Asian, so he was very driven to teaching me about everything. I mean, I had homework after school and then piano after that. And it was always straight A's and everything else. And it was always, trying to be the best at everything. And I would take the opinions of not only my father, but other people around me, and I would kind of like live within those confines. It was almost like being a caged animal. This person's going to feel this way about me, and so I have to show up a certain way in order to please them. And also, growing up in Oklahoma, most of the people I grew up with were white and had like blonde curly hair and blue eyes. I was just never going to be that. It was really interesting. I really went through a period of time in my early childhood where I went through a lot of self-discovery and a lot of struggle.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I can totally relate when it comes to like Asian parents and wanting you to like succeed and excel. And I know they do it out of love, but sometimes it can be like the pressure can be insane, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It still shows up today. But in the end, that's what gave me my drive.
Yeah, totally. And, what was that point in your life when you realized, you didn't have to fit into a mold or in a box, that you could go out there and do your thing and know that you were enough?
I would say it probably hit around 5th or 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, like junior high age. I realized I just couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up, and I was struggling to fit in so bad that, I tried curling my hair, but it would never hold a curl, or, I put in contacts and they were so uncomfortable for me. And I said, why am I trying so hard? Why am I trying so hard? Like, what is it inside me that is not understanding that I'm perfectly okay just the way I am? And, growing up mixed race, that really played a big role for me. I was just unsuccessful at fitting in. And so when I got to the breaking point of, trying so hard and not getting anywhere, I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to be exactly who I am, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think too, when we're younger, we try to force things like, you trying to force to fit in, knowing that, your ultimate purpose was never to be in a box, was to live outside and inspire others. And, sometimes it might take time to realize that, it could be in the 6th grade, it could be when you're 40. But nonetheless, these are experiences that we have and we can share to the world. I know when I was younger, I tried to fit in as well, not realizing, I don't know why I'm trying to fit in when I'm not meant to do that, right? Meant for greater things in life. And, because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
It has been amazing. I spent so much time out of the box when I was younger that it actually just became who I was. So I was always looking for different ways to do things. It's kind of like when you look at something and then you turn your head sideways and it looks a little different. Well, I like turning my head sideways a lot. And so I've only ever followed my own Pied Piper. I mean, anything that I love, I go for. And so that's really why I have my hands in a multitude of things. And I have friends with several different types of backgrounds, not only culturally, religiously, color, race, creed, it doesn't matter. I have the UN, and I have the UN as a family. I mean, my sister-in-law is Egyptian, and I married an Israeli man, and it's really multicultural. I like to say that my life now is a mosaic. So instead of fitting into one type of person, I'm really loving the idea that I'm multifaceted, and it's absolute freedom for me because I don't need to worry about others' opinions.
Awesome. And I'm glad, you're able to go out there and live your true self and show others what's possible. And, because I always believe change starts with us. We need the change we want to see in the world. And, Jennifer, for our listeners, they may be in their own journey of self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you would give to her?
I actually have 2. Can I share 2?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of my girlfriends, they would go out on dates and say, I just, I feel fat, or I'm not feeling so hot, or, something terrible had happened earlier in the week and their confidence was low. And I would always tell them to get a strut song. And what I mean by that is, picking out a song that encompasses all that they want to be and the vision of the type of person they want to become. And I would tell them to play it in their iPhone or whatever and stick it in their earbuds, get really personal with it and strut down the street listening to this song. And you get this feeling of confidence and power when you do that. And so I'd say, before an interview, before a date, at any time that you need that boost, put on your theme song, put on your strut song and strut. And so it was really interesting because eventually they would stop using it because they became that. So, and secondly, there's a book called The 4 Agreements, which I absolutely love. It's by Don Miguel. And what he says in there is be impeccable with your word. So what I found out is when you make a commitment to something, keep it. And if you want to think of it this way. Everyone has a friend that's late almost every time you invite them somewhere. So much so that sometimes you might tell them to show up an hour earlier because they're going to be an hour late. And if you think about it, what happens after, a period of time? You either stop inviting them or, you kind of have to switch things around. It's kind of puts you out knowing that they're going to show up late. And it's the same with ourselves. How many times do we wake up in the morning and we set the alarm and the alarm goes off and we press snooze, right? That's one way that we made a promise to wake up at a certain time, but yet we didn't keep it. Well, multiply that times 10. Then you say you're going to go to the gym and work out because you really want to lose weight and you really want to tone up and look good. And then you sit at home instead and eat donuts. If you want, the quickest way that I found to build confidence is to make a promise to yourself and keep it. And don't skip out on yourself, because then you'll start believing in yourself more. You'll say, hey, you know what? I made this promise to myself and I kept it. And keep doing that over and over again. And the next thing you know, you've got the confidence to back up that strut song.
Those are great tips. And, I love that one tip you mentioned about strutting your song. I know when I feel down, I usually play Beyonce's Who Run the World Girls.
Yes, I love that song. I have it on repeat in my car.
Yeah, I just love it. It just gets me pumped and, it just gets my day going. So
yes, I get it. I love that. I know my kids are tired of it at this point. They're like, yeah, Mom, we know they run the world.
Totally. And Jennifer, if our listeners want to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, actually, you can check out the hangarstudios.com if you like. That's TheHangarStudios.com. And if you want to check out my podcast, you can actually find me on Facebook. Just type in Big Girl Panties, and it's also on iTunes. So I hope to connect with you guys soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Jennifer, you can also head on over to the Selfconfidence.com and search for Jennifer's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really want to thank Jennifer for taking the time to share her story with us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to be a conduit.
It was my pleasure to have you on. And listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll catch you later. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Sign up for our free membership site to get more amazing resources for self-confidence by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.